guys, just coming to you right tonight to talk a little bit about bait recyclement. I don't know about you guys, but I don't like to really just throw them into the trash. My system that I have, I don't waste anything. I'll actually take it a step farther and buy all the old baits I can get my hands on, like just old tackle boxes with old baits in them. And I'm going to go through some just to show you kind of what I do when I get things that I'm not using anymore, or just boxes of tackle box baits that haven't been used in decades. I'm just gonna go through a couple things here real quick just to show you what I do. Maybe help you guys out. Maybe you can find it as easy as I have to do the same thing. To start with, when I use up these plastic baits that I buy that's used up and can't be hooked anymore or anything like that, I have decided I may make molds out of just plaster. I take molding clays and sculpt me a design, and then I melt my old plastics down, pour them into this mold, and I end up with stuff like this. This is a crawl I designed myself. Nobody helps in any kind of designing but these kind of baits. This is just a crawl I've designed that I can mold any colors that I have. I can just melt them down and make new ones. I made, I think, 5 or 6 here out of just half a cup of just old plastics, something like that. I started doing the meltdown molds with these paddle tails. This was actually the first thing that I made a mold for, and the first color that I got out of it. Then I've done blacks, browns, all kinds of things. I also restore my spinner baits that I find just everywhere. I find them all over the place. Like these, I paint. I take my time and I paint them, get them good and painted real solid. And let me see if I can get this turned around here. Yeah. See, I will put new skirts on them, clean them up real good, paint them, put the good the ball bearing swivels on them so they spin real smoothly. Also, I do the same thing with buzz baits. I'll do this with any bait, but I like my spinners and buzz baits. So this one was nothing like this. I think it was an old dirty yellow or something like that. I've painted the blade and all this stuff. I clear coat in with a hard coat enamel paint, and I clear coat it all on, so I can beat it off of rocks or structures or anything and it will not chip it, unless I have to hit it pretty hard. And last but not least, I've been trying to find as many of these old hard baits as I can that I like the design of, and I'm redoing them. Like this one right here, it's just an old walking bait. It's pretty good size. It's probably 4.5 or so inches long. I got pretty big hands, and that's a pretty good size bait. Now I think this thing was, it wasn't even really colored. It was just beat all to pieces from it just flaking off the paint. And then one of the reasons I decided to make this bait is because it has one of the most unique knockers I've ever seen, ever. It literally is on a spring from way back in here. There's a spring comes out, and then there's like a lead like knocker on it, and maybe you can hear this. When you take it from side to side, the way that weight hits the side of this bait causes a serious vibration. And I've not yet got to use this, but I'm almost positive it will be really intense in the water, because it's super intense right here in my hand. So I figured I'd give this one a go, and I painted it in just this black and white pattern. I painted it to where when they're looking up at it, that it really looks glimmery like stuff does on the top of the water, from under the water anyways. I'm pretty anxious to try this one out. I really like the way it turned out. Then I've also found this bait. Now this thing, I've done a little research on it. It's a 60 something model vintage lure, and it was this white with just like pinstriping, black pinstripe, like fine line minnow, like a little shad or something. And it's obviously somewhere in the 60s, a model lipless crankbait, and it has like a knocker in it too, like a 2-tap or something. And it was solid white, very old, so I sanded it all down, and believe it or not, this is spray paint. I mean, it's spray painted. It's got numerous coats of it on it, but it's I sprayed it out in red, and then I tape it off, get the pattern I'm wanting to do, the overlaid color, and then I speckled it with a chrome, and then I'll probably put 5 to 10 clear coats to this thing. I mean, I put enough that it's not going to affect it to hit structure. And I mean, I really like the way that the paint job turned out. I got a bit graphic with the face on this thing, but I mean, as fast as it's going to be moving, it really don't matter. If I didn't do one at all, I just kind of did it for fun. But I put new hardware on them, real nice sticky hooks, and new split rings. I'm pretty excited about using these old vintage lures, resurrecting them like this, and take them out this year and catch some fish on them. They probably haven't had a fish caught on them in decades, I'm sure. But I just wanted to put this out there so you guys could see what kind of ideas I've been coming up with to resurrect these vintage lures to where they can be used daily again and actually catch fish on them, so they're not just sitting in an old dusty tackle box for the rest of their lives. We bring them out and put them back to use, maybe catch some more fish on them. Just an idea I've had that I've got plenty tackle anyways. It's just something to get me through the cold months where we don't have a whole lot of fishing going on here, and keeps me busy. But if you guys have any questions about, really, I don't use any special materials for this stuff, just regular Walmart spray paints. Now for the mold stuff, I use just regular plaster of Paris to make these molds, and molding clay to make the model of these baits. Like, I sculpted these out in clay, and then I make a hard plaster mold, and then I wait for it all to harden up super good, and then I melt my old plastics, used ones, down, and pour these out individually. I mean, you can see they have imperfections, but it's always in the bottom every single time. So if you guys are interested in this, you guys can leave me a comment. If you need to know any specific ways that I use to bring these things back to life, maybe you have a bunch of old lures you'd like to resurrect,